On this episode of Main Street Magic, John reviews Victorian Alberts at the Grand Floridian, a AAA 5-Diamond Award recipient. This is episode 73 of the Main Street Magic podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and in just a bit I'll have John take over to talk about his recent dining experience. Now this is one heck of an experience at Victorian Alberts, which is located at the Grand Floridian Resort. Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at mainstmagic. Now don't forget to listen to the Capture the Magic podcast at ctmpodcast.com and subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to Capture the Magic. Now they release new shows every Monday and Thursday, and then Jared and I release a new Diz Dudes episode every Wednesday on that same feed. We've also created a new Facebook group called Capture the Magic Community, so make sure you go out and join. We will offer special deals on an all-new t-shirt line from Capture the Magic Apparel. John recently was able to attend Victorian Alberts with his wife, Michelle, and he went ahead and recorded a full review and got into tons of detail. So we are going to go ahead and just kick it on over. Off to you, John.
Thanks, Jeremy. And this is John to talk about Victorian Alberts. So on this past Saturday, my wife Michelle and I had the opportunity to enjoy Victorian Alberts, and if you are unfamiliar with this, this is the highest level restaurant at Walt Disney World. It is located inside the Grand Floridian Resort. It is on the second floor. So if you were heading to the back left corner, if you were at the front entrance of the Floridian, upper floor, back left corner, you'll walk. There is a desk there, which is a check-in for Citricos. But just to the left of that is a nondescript wood door with etched glass on it, and that is the entrance to Victorian Alberts. So let's talk about the lead up to it. I'll tell you a little bit about the restaurant. We're going to walk through the menu of what we had to eat, and all of this will be posted so you can see pictures of every single dish that we had. So this was a reservation that you definitely want to look to book it out at the 180-day mark. Oftentimes there are opportunities to book it in a shorter period of time, but it's hit or miss, so if you know this is a place you'd like to go ahead and book it early. We had our children with us for the trip. We were staying at Bay Lake Tower, so we checked them into the Pixar Play Zone camp, which runs from 5 to 10:30, and I will do a separate review of that on another episode. So when we dropped them off, we were able to take the monorail from the Contemporary to the Grand Floridian as well as back, and that was what we used for our transportation to get there. Our reservation was at 7 p.m. So about 2 days before our dinner, so on Thursday, I was contacted by somebody with Disney at Victorian Alberts to confirm the reservation, to see if there are any dietary restrictions, to make sure they have the names of everybody in the party correct, and then also to tell you what the dress code is. So with this being an upscale fine dining establishment, for men, jackets are required, as well as collared shirts. If you choose to go with a tie, that is optional, but jackets are required. For ladies, it is dress. So this is a wonderful ability for men and women to go ahead and dress up in some of your finest attire there. Michelle wore a nice black dress, and I wore a suit for that. They also will ask if we are celebrating anything, and we were. This was the Saturday before Mother's Day, which also was just a few days past Michelle's birthday. So we were celebrating Michelle's birthday for this, as well as Mother's Day. I only brought up birthday to them on the phone. So that is all for the pre. When we get to the Grand Floridian, we kill some time in the shops. We walk towards the restaurant a little before 7, and somebody greets us at the door and opens it for us to walk in. So I don't know if there's something, because there's not a door person there, but I don't know if the desk from Citrico's tips them off that we're walking in, the way we're dressed, or it was just somebody who saw us. But they open the door, welcome to Victoria and Albert's, and then they go ahead and take our name and they escort us to our table. There are 3 dining areas in this restaurant. This is not a large restaurant, but there are 3 different places you can dine. You can dine in the main dining room, in the Queen Victoria room, which is a little bit smaller, and then you could dine at the chef's table. So let's talk about these real quick and what options are there. For the main dining room, this is a price fixed menu, no matter the whole restaurant is, but the main dining room is the only seating area where you make a choice on the menu. And when I say make a choice, you will choose whether you would like to do a 7-course price fixed meal or would you like to do a 10-course. So the 7-course is $185 per person. The 10-course is $235 per person. If you eat in the smaller, more elegant Queen Victoria room, you can only choose the 10-course menu for $235. If you are lucky enough to get the chef's table, you can only do the 10-course for $250. Now, this was the second time for us eating at Victoria and Albert's, and next time we did say we'd like to do the chef's table for that. But now the chef's table will seat anywhere from 1 to whatever really size of your party is. But what's neat about this is if you were solo or it was just a couple, if you are able to get the chef's table as your reservation, it is not a table where they are going to seat you with 6 other or 8 other strangers. If your dining reservation is 1, it will be 1 person at the chef's table paying $250 for the 10 courses. If you're 2, it's just you 2. So probably one of the finest things to be able to do on Disney property as far as dining is to be able to have that chef's table. So in the main dining room, you're going to choose between 7 or 10 courses. So that's one choice you're going to make. The second choice you're going to make is if you would like to do wine pairings. Wine pairings for the 7-course are an additional $105. For the 10-course, it is $150. There are 2 to 3 ounce pours. So actually I found the pours to be quite robust. They were not just little sips. But also on this dining, you should estimate 3 hours to 3.5 hours. So 7-course, you're probably close to the 3 hours. The 10-course, you're closer to the 3.5. Okay, so a little bit of this is again, I keep bringing up fine dining, but this is a paced fine dining. You will be full at the end, but this is nothing that will rush you. One other reason why this will not be rushed is there is only 1 seating per night. Now there are different times, but if my table, I had a reservation at 6 and I leave there at 8:30, let's just say that that's the amount of time it takes, there will not be another table being seated after me. So there is only X number of seats per night. This is not a place where tables will turn over more than once, and this is something that is a little bit new that they started. I want to say that our waiter did say that they started this, a couple years ago for that. There's also age restrictions on this location. I believe, if I'm correct on the age restrictions, it is 18 and up. I might be wrong on the age. Actually, the age restriction, it's 10 and up. But I would say this is different dining. If you are eating with children or with younger people, I would say 18 and up is probably where you're going with this, and they need to be somewhat adventurous eaters. So they're not really, picking chicken fingers and everything. This is fine dining. So once you choose your courses, and if you're doing the wine pairing, and so we did the wine pairing, I went with the wine pairing from the menu. Michelle does not like reds, so they were going to take out 2 of the reds that were for her and change them to whites. So they were very accommodating with that. There are some other upgrades or options that you can choose off the menu. So once you choose your 7 or 10, there are a couple other choices to make. So here are the other choices that you can make. Number 1, you can have the caviar with traditional garnishes for $110 for a half ounce or $210 for an ounce. So you can start your meal with that if you would like. As you go down to the second dish, there is a fish dish. The second dish is a fish dish. You can loup de mer, which is like a European striped bass, is the fish dish, but if you would like to upgrade to a wild turbot with toasted capers, preserved lemons, you can upgrade the fish for an additional $35. As you go down the menu for the meat course, you will have a choice here of either choosing lamb or Australian Kobe style beef, but you can upgrade to the Mississauga Japanese beef for $110. Now, if you go back and listen to the episode that we did when I did the Disney Dream and we ate at Remy on the ship, I upgraded my beef at that dining location where it was either $55 for 2 ounces or $110 for 4 ounces. Same beef and really the same type of upgrade that you can choose here. And then there is another dish that you would have to decide on. And then there's 3 desserts listed on the 7 course, and you're going to have to decide on one of those 3, which to me was one of the most difficult choices of the evening. So as we get seated in the dining room, in the main dining room, we were right off so the dining room is almost circular. And there is one big table in the middle, some tables around it, and then some smaller tables up against the wall. So we were seated at a table that would have sat 4, but there was just the 2 of us, so that's the table we were seated at, and we were exactly next to the harp player. So the music for the night, while there's some mellow and quiet background music, most of the music is provided by a person who does play the harp during dinner. And it is not intrusive at all. So let's talk about the dinner. So we chose the 7 course for the $185, the wine pairing for $105, and when you go through it, our first course was an Amuse-Bouche, and this here doesn't count as one of your courses. Is probably the easiest way for me to say it. This is it's almost meant to be eaten as a single bite is how most amuse-bouches are. But this one was a little bit bigger. It was served in a bowl. It was a seared fish with watermelon radish, an edamame puree, almost like a fried spinach and everything. And so it had a lot of different textures as you ate it. And went through it. So that was your start, and they started you off with a rosé to go with that course. We did not upgrade to the caviar, so then our next course was Ahi Tuna with a Saffron Blanc. Now there was Ahi Tuna, and it was done 2 different ways. So one of the ways you had, and they were both rare or almost raw. which is fine for me. Michelle usually would never get that, but she ate it perfectly and loved it. The two different ways that this was made on the Ahi Tuna is you had a regular just piece of ahi with some different seasoning and texture on top of it. And then the other piece was ahi, and wrapped inside of it, it almost looked like a little square, but wrapped inside of it was something very soft. And we couldn't just get what that texture is, what it was. And so when we asked, and every course they bring out, they explain what it is. But this was a root vegetable that is soaked and compressed in heavy cream for days, and it brings on almost that creamy type texture. It is not a hard root vegetable. It's very soft and very pleasing to go along with the tuna. So that was a very exciting dish, and we liked it quite a bit there for the tuna. The next dish was the loup de mer, which again, the European striped bass. We did not upgrade to the wild turbot. And this comes with green tomatoes as well as a dill crema. And Jeremy probably might not like this dish because Jeremy is a little anti-pickle. But the dill with the fish, it was almost like having just little pieces of almost that dill pickle type as a crunch with the fish. You didn't feel like you were eating a pickle, but you definitely had that dill taste. Wonderful dish. It was just a nice contrast of taste and texture for that. The next dish was one that I was actually really interested in because it's roasted Texas quail with corn pudding and spinach. And so they brought it out. I'm again, my mind when I see quail, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to have the little bird on there on the plate, and it's almost like the little chicken, and it's going to, how will it be divided or anything? But this had no bones or anything. It was two pieces of quail that were rendered and cooked down. It had sauce on it. It had what we would call kind of like a corn that corn pudding, but it also kind of had a hard, not hard, but it had a corn disc with it, almost like you would think a cracker type thing. And so when they brought it out, they said, taste this. This one's a little bit more fun. Tell me what you think it is or what it tastes like. So I took my first bite of it, and you tasted the corn, you tasted the meat, you tasted everything, and to me right away, it almost tasted like barbecue, right? Like you'd get, sometimes it had a little smoky taste to it, and that, so it would be like, wow, this is an upscale dish, but it almost tastes like barbecue. So when he came back and said, okay, tell me, what do you think it is? And I told him that. He said, kinda, but not really. He's like, take another bite of it, get the cornbread disc with that, and tell me if it tastes like a corn dog to you. And sure enough, you taste it, it tasted just like a corn dog. So that cornbread, that corn cracker on there was soft, and that kind of gave it the corn texture, and the way the quail was cooked, you kind of had a little bit of that hot dog, and you don't expect to pay a couple $100 and get a corn dog. But when you see what the dish looks like and then you see what it tastes like, I love places like this that take chances or make food different, right? Make you think. Michelle and I have had incredible meals this way, and one of the greatest meals we ever had in our life was at a restaurant in Chicago called Moto, M-O-T-O, and Moto was kind of avant-garde, really at some of the forefront of molecular gastronomy, where some of the dishes there would come out, it would come in an ashtray, and it would look like it had ash in it, it was like a cigar, but you ate it, and when you ate it, it was, collard greens wrapped with pork in the middle, and that's what the dish was, but they made it so it looked like a cigar. Or they had dishes with edible paper. So you had a buffalo wing on the plate and then a picture of a buffalo wing. And so you'd eat the wing and then you'd eat the picture, and it tasted just like a chicken wing. So amazing things they can do. They did say that they do try and limit here at Victoria and Albert's. They say we get some chefs that really want to be creative, but they end up getting scaled back from Chef Hunnell as we're fine dining. Let's leave that for some of the other places to go ahead and have fun. But this is the one dish that they really said that kind of made it and had, was more fun. The next course was this is where you had the choice. You either chose a lamb loin with roasted carrots and banana curry, or the Australian Kobe style beef with a potato rosti, or you can upgrade to the Japanese Mekisaki beef. We didn't upgrade the beef this time. Michelle was going with the Kobe style beef. I went with the lamb loin just to be different so we can try something, considering we were really doing 7 courses that were the same. But they were both wonderful. I mean, nothing to say. Excellent meat. It was, cooked perfectly, which to me, obviously, it was sous vide, right? Cooked in a water bath to a temperature, and then from there it would have been seared to give it the taste. And I'm a big fan of sous vide. I'm a big fan of sous vide. Even now, there's wonderful home units that you can do. And right, if you set your sous vide to a temperature of 135, your meat cooks. It can only get to 135. It can only get to medium, and it's medium top to bottom. Then you sear it, as opposed to throwing it on a grill or a pan, where you get the gray up at the top, pink a little bit in the middle, and then gray on the bottom. Or you can overcook it. Really, with sous vide, you can't overcook it, and it's really one temperature from top to bottom. High-end restaurants have been using this for a long time. It also can help with different flavors, especially if you're doing flavors of certain root vegetables like carrots and that. But this, so many restaurants do that, and this one obviously is one of them as well. And the meat course was excellent. Now, your next course, you do have a choice to make, and again, Michelle and I differed from here. Mine was, I went with the selection of cheeses, where they roll out a cheese cart, they put the plate together for you as a regular cheese board, and I want to say it had 6 different cheeses on it, plus the accompaniments that go with it if you traditionally get a cheese board. For Michelle, she had the hibiscus yuzu sorbet with coconut rice pudding. So here's where you can tell this is more of the, you're through the heavy dishes. This is more of a palate cleanser or something to kind of, just ease your stomach back a little bit, something to graze on before you move into the dessert, which is obviously going to be, I won't say heavy, but it's going to be whatever you're choosing for your desserts. It's going to be rich, is probably the word I'm searching for here. So 3 desserts to choose from. You had a chocolate bar with coffee panna cotta. You had a caramelized banana gâteau, and then you had the Grand Marnier souffle. Michelle's going to get the souffle 100% of the time. I'm going to get it 99% of the time. We love places, especially if a French restaurant, if they do a wonderful souffle. In this one, the souffle is excellent. They pop the hole in the middle of it, pour the Grand Marnier with the cream inside of it, and I took a bite of it, and it was wonderful. I didn't want to get that because she was, so again, we wanted to kind of taste and sample and get something different. So I asked what would be better, the chocolate bar or go with the banana, caramelized banana gâteau, and they said get the banana. I got it. It was wonderful. It was a cylinder with a wonderful cream in the middle of mascarpone with a little bit of hint of banana with caramelized bananas all over it. It was wonderful. It almost like a lightened cheesecake with a hint of banana, but well worth it. So those were our courses. At that time, we're done, but now they still will bring you out some additional extras, and at this point, you're stuffed. So the additional extras that they bring out are chocolates, but again, they box them up, and you can take them with you, which is what we did. Now, we did have coffee and espresso, and coffee is an experience here because the coffee, what they do is it comes out to the table in a contraption. And, excuse me, I almost said, a water bong on it, where one side of the coffee, they have a burner under it and they are heating water. On the other side is the coffee grounds. And when the water gets heated enough where it is boiling and steaming, they will then move the coffee grounds over the water, and by use of a siphon, right, the coffee grounds will go through the water, and then they will be able to come back, pour it, and give you your glass of coffee. It's obviously fun to see that going on at your table. It's a nice conversation piece, but also it's better than just hurry up, pour you a cup of coffee, and let's get on with it. So it helps bring back that fact that you're going to be there for 3 hours or longer. Price-wise, right, pretty close. I'd say top 3 most expensive meals we've ever had. So when you add up, $185 and $105, right, we were $290 each, which is $580, and then go ahead and throw on, your gratuity, the fact that we didn't do any other extras, but I want to say our total bill was about $725, or maybe just a hair less than that. So this is expensive. It is fine dining, but it's wonderful. So when they asked and called ahead to make sure that they have the names correct of who's in the party, the reason being is your menu is personalized. Your name is on it. For my wife, it said, Michelle, happy birthday. It had the date. When you are done, they take the menu, put it in a nice envelope for you, and it's something that you can take away as a keepsake. Why don't they need the menus again? Well, obviously, 1, because they're personalized, but 2, because this restaurant, the dishes can change daily. So a lot of it has to do with what's available, what's in season, what's cooking, and this is not something that you're going to go to and say, well, I've been there once, why the necessity to go back? The necessity to go back is because the whole dining experience is going to be different. This was definitely different for us this time than the first time, and the big reason why it was different is because I think we knew what to expect going into it. We were definitely more relaxed, comfortable. Our waiter was great, as well as the additional people who helped. So it was a wonderful experience and definitely more relaxed. Where the first time, it's okay. I'm going here. I've heard a lot about it, but what's it going to be like? We already knew, so I think that helped a lot. And if you're going to book it, hopefully by listening to this, because one thing I'll say, I don't think there's a lot of reviews out there on Victorian Albert's. You'll probably find some of people writing up on it, but to be able to listen to them, I don't think there's too many out there. At least I haven't found them. Your 7 and 10 courses, right, change. So I said we did the 7 course. If you do the 10 course, your Amuse-Bouche is different. Pretty much most of your courses are different. They are not the same. Matter of fact, their desserts are different, and almost every one of the 10 courses are different. So you could go into it and decide what one you want, and also your table, if you were in the main dining room, doesn't have to choose the same. So one party can choose the 7, the other one can choose the 10, right? That is not something that you have to be standard. Just remember the Queen Victoria room, everybody gets 10. The chef's table, everybody gets 10. Okay. Once we were done, we were full, done, back on the monorail, back to the Contemporary. 2 people extremely satisfied, and 2 people that know next time we do this, it will be the chef's table. So we would love to hear from you, not only your comments about this as we post the menus, we post the dishes, pictures of them so that you can take a look at this as well. But if you're one that books it, we'd love to hear from you as well to get your take on the fine dining at the Grand Floridian with Victoria and Albert's. 5 stars, highest rated restaurant on Disney property. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Jeremy, to wrap us up and tell everybody where they can find us and give us reviews and ratings. We hope this made you hungry, and we hope it's something that's going to cause you to go ahead and book that reservation. So thank you, and now over to Jeremy.
John, thank you so much for reviewing Victoria and Albert's for us. I know that was tough to go out there and have to, sit through all of that amazing food, but you did it all for our listeners, so we truly appreciate you for that. It's definitely on the top of my Disney bucket list. I would say it's number 1 on my Disney must-dos. So thank you everyone so much for listening, and don't forget to go out to Facebook and search for Capture the Magic Community, which is our new Facebook group. We have a lot of fun in there. There's lots of tips, there's tricks, and we're truly building a community that is based around the Capture the Magic network. So you'll find myself in there, and John, Rhonda, Jared, and Jamie, and we love to talk all things Disney. Also, if you can, go out on iTunes and leave not only Main Street Magic a rating and review, but also make sure you leave a review for Capture the Magic. And make sure you tell everyone how much you love Diz Dudes and how much better I am than Jared. All right, that's all I got for now. We'll see you real soon.